Howdy y'all, this is AR Cavly. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to get our Forbidden Lands adventure started. Now I took a little time and fleshed out the starting legend to tie it in with the main quest that they're going on. And I bought the stuff. I did some rearranging with the equipment that is there because of the encumbrance issues. So Lennox has the knapsack, the bag of the bag of holding uh, talent, but the bag itself is heavy, and he's kind of at his close to his limit anyway. In fact, he had to give his tent over to Zell to hold that, just because well, he's probably not really going to need to use, to be pulling out anvils and uh, and hammers and ingots and things like this out of this bag of holding. So he, he's going to leave that there. So we start on our map, the village of Cold Reach, down in the Harga Plains, the Harga Wastelands. Lennox is sitting one day counting his dwindling funds. His money was all made in smuggling, and he's not done that lately. And so the more honest trades are not quite as lucrative. Sitting in his shop, which is really just his house with some junk stored in the back that he occasionally travels around to trade, he looks at Zelimir, Zell, the Assaline, the horseman, who's just sitting there as he has since he followed Lennox to Cold Breach after they escaped the Iron Guard. Lennox isn't really sure why he lets this freeloader stay with him. Although freeloader is not completely fair. Zell is a hardworking fellow, simple, and with his hunting skills, he does supplement the household, sell some pelts every now and then. But Lennox would still prefer to be alone. It's only the economic advantages that has left the horseman, that has led him decide to leave the horseman here. Of course, he's a horseman without a horse. Lennox sighs, throws the last remainder of his coins back into the little chest by his bed, where they always are. And there's a gentle tapping at the door. Lennox raises a brow, hope welling in his chest that there might be some business, there might be some coins to be had. Come in. The door slowly creaks open to reveal Lady Sif, the druid who runs Cold Breach. His hopes of profit deflate, and he stands. Zell follows suit. Lady Sif closes the door behind and walks towards him. He takes a cloak off of a nearby chair, and offers her a seat. As she approaches, he can see the beautiful woman she once was just below the wrinkled skin of her wizened face. She was not in charge when he was young, when he was growing up here. That had been the master miller, but while Lennox was out on his adventures, Lady Sif was in charge when he returned. But she rules wisely, and there's something to be said about having someone in charge of things who can speak to the spirits and to the winds. How can I help you, lady? I hope I'm not disturbing you, good sir. As she sits down, one hip popping as she takes her seat. Not at all. As after she sits, Lennox sits back on his bed. I know that in these years you have sought peace in your life, Master Lennox. Yet sometimes those things are out of our control. A dread fate awaits Cold Breach unless some hero steps up. I myself would have taken the journey not too many years ago, but I'm afraid it's beyond me. I still don't understand, lady, why any journey needs to be taken. There is a darkness, a corruption that threatens Cold Breach. I have an inkling of what it is, for the spirits of the land have communed with me. And things look very dire for our village, Master Peddler. What I need you to retrieve may very well be the only way to save our village. I was born here. This is my home. I don't even know what you're talking about. It's a peaceful place, that's why I'm here. It's peaceful on the surface, but at its bones, sneaking in the shadows, among some of our very neighbors, the rot lies heavy, and it stinks of blood. Lennox leans back and he rubs his chin. In his travels, he's seen strange things. And this is definitely a land full of dark magic where demons and twisted creatures roam. But he's not seen anything like that here in Cold Breach. I'm afraid, Master Peddler, that you may have to take my word for now. I can see the disbelief on your face. I mean no disrespect, Lady Sif. I know, but you're a pragmatic man. A very suspicious man. And understandably so. I don't blame you for that. I know some of your tale. But I have to ask you to trust me. Someone needs to go. There are others I could ask. The captain who spends his days in the tavern. He is certainly a brave man, and he has seen his share of battles. But he does not have the love, he does not have the attachment that you do to Cold Breach. I could find any number of young men willing to go and prove their mettle, for Cold Breach breeds the brave, men and women ready to adventure. But none of them have your experience. For you grew up as a squire to mighty Bram. I knew him. And you have traveled the dangerous byways and wastelands of Ravenland. I fear there is no better choice in the village. You are asking me to return to a life that I abandoned. I don't care to go more than a day or two. And I only care to trade with people I know. And that speaks well of you, Master Lennox. For you want peace, which is usually what most heroes truly want. Don't let me throw the word hero around too much and intimidate you. But what we need will also bring you riches. It's a chance to get back out into the wild world. I suspect where you'll be going, though, will put you in some danger. Profit is not to be ignored. That's true, but profit does you no good when your skull is mounted on an orc pike. Yes, and yet you have traveled those lands and come back alive. Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you the legend of the elven princess, Nia. Before the shift, there was a vain elvish princess named Nia, and she sought the love of a mysterious stranger who spoke in her dreams. I love stories about elves, Zell pops in. Oh, I know many. Lennox just glowers at him and motions for Lady Sif to continue. Her family accused her of madness, for how could she love such a shade? And that it was probably a figment of her wandering elvish mind. But she held her beauty in high regard, and it didn't seem strange to her that one might fall in love with her from afar. Her father, a much wiser being than she, accused her of being possessed, but no magic could cure her. He tried to lock her away in a tower, surrounded by loyal Ent guards. But Nia used her magic to craft a powerful crystal in the shape of a pine cone that turned her guardians into real trees for a time. She escaped while they were immobile, taking her artifact and traveling to her lover's castle, far to the northwest. It is said that when she arrived that she was possessed by her lover, although the lawmasters debate as to whether she was already possessed, and that's why she made the ridiculous journey. And now she rules a castle of the undead. It is that artifact that I need to save Cold Breach, Master Lennox. I have heard of no other such legend describing a power. I have been researching this legend for some time, for the rot in Cold Breach has had its roots burying deep for many years, hidden from most people. Surely such a threat is something I would see. Yes, you are very observant and, as I said, suspicious. But the powers that we are facing are beyond your ken. You are not a master of the subtle ways of sorcery. But we need that pine cone, that crystal, that elven artifact, Master Peddler, or Cold Breach is doomed. Lennox does not want to go on any adventure. He does not want to be beset by bandits or orcs. He does not want to travel far to the northwest. And he has no idea what she's talking about. Lady Sif, I trust you to lead this village. You've done a wonderful job. And I truly believe that you have the good of people, of all of us. But you're talking about legends and things I don't even see. You're trying to warn me about something that to me doesn't even exist. You should not doubt her, Zell says, nodding at the ancient druid. It's not a matter of not doubting her, but I need more to go on before I go traipsing off by myself. I'll come with you. Traipsing off across these God's forsaken lands, looking for some ancient elven pine cone that probably doesn't even exist. I understand your reluctance. Truly I do. She struggles and pulls herself up on her staff, and she shuffles slowly towards the door. But I hope you will sleep on it, think about it. You say you trust me, and I'm warmed to hear that. And it is true, I am asking you to risk life and limb for the sake of our people. Sleep on it, Master Lennox. Consider not only the importance to the village, but maybe dream of finding the treasures you once did when you were younger. The only thing I dream of about when I was younger was watching my master get cut down in battle. She nods, says no more, and leaves his place, closing the door gently behind her. Zell stands up and immediately walks over and says, "You can't ignore what she's saying. Your village, if she says it's in danger, it is in danger. You're not even from here. What do you care? Why don't you go back to where you're from, Zell?" Now, Zell, he wants something from the peddler. I don't think he's going to explain he's not going to explain that yet, but he's been working under and actually I just thought of it. He's working under the deception that he owes some kind of Asleen life debt or something like that. You saved my life. I owe you my life. I am your servant. I don't want a servant. It is an ancient Asleen custom. I've never heard of that. And I've certainly hung around my fair share of Asleen horsemen in my travels. We are not all the same, you know. We have tribes and we have different traditions. Ah, look, if you want to go, then you go. I don't want to go. I have no idea what she's talking about. She is wise, but you know, the old, they start losing their wits. They start imagining things. She spent her whole life talking to plants. I don't really want to go. Linux stares at the door for a couple of moments and then goes about doing his evening chores, cleaning up, recounting his stock, and finishing off the pottage from earlier in the day. He lays down, goes to sleep, and he dreams. He dreams of Bram. He dreams of that day in the field where Bram was cut down. And then he dreams of treasure chests. He dreams of piles of gold. And then he dreams of himself, a lifeless skeleton laying in the bottom of some forgotten tomb. And he wakes up suddenly, shaking. And as he looks around, he sees that Zell has also jumped up out of bed. The dawn is just breaking, and he can hear screams outside. He looks at Zell, and he grabs his sword, because this is this is not a nice place. And if they're screaming, there's no telling what's making people scream. So he grabs his broadsword, shoves his helmet onto his head, and runs out in his night clothes. And he sees that there are people gathered in the center of town. In this green, what acts as the common ground for the village of Coldbreach. And he runs down the road, and people are gathering. And there, in the middle of that green, is a dead tree. And the tree is planted in the ground, yet the top is dead as if it's rotted for years. And on that tree is one of the villagers, crucified and disemboweled. Strange glyphs carved on his flesh, and his blood collected in small bowls at the base of this dead tree. Lady Sif shuffles through the crowd. She looks up and down the scene. She shakes her head. And then she glances sidelong at Lennox. And at that moment, Lennox knows. He tries to convince himself that he really just wants to escape the danger, but he knows that he has to journey, he has to find the artifact that she described in the legend. And if she's right, he has to go soon. He glances back at her and answers with a single nod, and then turns to gather his things. Back in the cabin, as he is deciding what to bring, getting his provisions, getting his water skins ready, Zell is following him around, begging for permission to come. Let me go. Let me help you. I can help you. You are well traveled. I know this. I know. You saved my life. But I am a hunter. I know how to feed us. I can guide us through the lands. The idea of traveling by himself, Lennox is not particularly uh, enamored with that idea. All right, fine, fine. Stop pestering me. All right? Get your stuff. Make ready. Take your share of rations. We will leave tomorrow at first light. The next day comes, and there's no fanfare because Lady Sif has made it clear that it just needs to be a quiet mission. Whatever the danger she fears, she does not want it discovered that he and Zell are on a mission. Another reason why it was best for him, because he is a peddler. He leaves, he travels, he can leave the village without causing any kind of suspicion. So we will start the hex crawl. So using the our adventure journal, I have determined that the start is the 38th day after Lush Day. If I've read the calendar right, the the calendar is read after the 16 holidays or whatever. So we're going to just record what happens. Day 1, morning. So the morning and day, they're going to head up this way. The plan is to head up this way and shoot through that little mountain pass right there. That hut is probably something that I should know, but I don't know if it's actually a site or if it's just a random piece of of terrain. And by the way, if anybody who's watching this sees me get something wrong about the Forbidden Lands rules or anything, feel free to comment and let me know. All right. So we're going to do our travels now. Come over to our player's handbook. Go to journeys. Quarters a day. So the first, as we look at the characters, Zell actually has he has a higher survival, and Lennox just from it, their character creation. Lennox has uh, a scouting skill, and he's got his cool but very very heavy spyglass. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is a hike. All right, so we do that. So a hike in regular terrain is going to get us to move 2 hexes, but there's a little bit of a change for the solo rules. Journeying for 1, so it has a different in the Book of Beasts. It has a different new hex procedure is what it's called. All right, when you enter a new hex, draw a card and consult the table below. All right, so I think what we're actually supposed to do first, journeying for 1, shuffle, roll die 6 3 times for weather on the tables on page 153. So I'll just go ahead and roll 3 die 6 here. Well, I'll do them one at a time. I have an unfortunate feeling that my the GPU on my computer is starting to go out. If well, maybe we'll be able to go retrieve our pine cone before my computer crashes. All right, so 2, 4, and 3 for the weather. Two, 4, and 3. All right, so light breeze, no rainfall, and it's pleasant. We see that some of these different effects change. They give bonuses or penalties to how to camp. So, um, for full disclosure, I I finished the first 2 hexes and realized my microphone crapped out on me, and so I lost about 45 minutes worth of adventure. And we started off with a storm, so I just decided to start everything over. But it was not necessarily a bad thing because I decided to work in that little dialogue there. Although it may be a bad thing if you don't like GMs making bad voices. Uh, all right. So whenever you enter a new hex, draw a card. Now it says the normal travel table still applies. All right, so we're going to assign Zell to be the Pathfinder, to do the lead the way, and we're going to assign Lennox to be the scout. And we're going to move our 1 hex. And we're going to have him do his roll. Now, the rules generally describe the PC and companion relationship, that the PC makes all the rolls and gets a bonus from the companion. But I think in this case, for these kind of non-combat roles, I think I'm just going to let the companion roll, at least for the traveling parts. So he's going to lead the way. Let's see. For the terrain, Forage, hunt. Okay. Some of the hex types have modifiers for foraging and hunting, um, but I don't see one for other. I don't see one for the lead the way. So, just to lead the way. Okay, cool. So we have one success, and that's all we need. So we get into that hex, and he finds his way through the hex, no problem. Now, as we go back to the solo rules here, um, it says whenever we enter a hex, draw a card and consult the table below. All right, so if it's a 2 to a 10, it's a random encounter table. Roll D66 and choose between the ones in the Game Master or this book. I think what I'm going to do is when I draw the card, if I draw one of those, then I'm going to, if it's red, if it's a red suit, then I'll go with the one that's in the Game Master, and if it's a black suit, then I'll go with the one in the Book of Beasts. All right, let's shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. All right, let's see what we get. 10 of hearts. So that's going to give us a all right. Yep. Random encounter. So we're going to roll D66. I'll just use Linux's here. A 5 and a 1 in the Game Master. Game Master Guide. I think that seems high enough. Like it would be. It would be there. Let's see. Encounters. All right, so 51. Let's see, what are we in? Marshlands, Quagmire Ruins. So I guess we're basically in the plains with a 5 and a 1. So that gives us an encounter number 6, the horse. And one thing that will help me make it kind of more exciting for me is the fact that I've not played through these. Like I said, I'm relatively new, so I don't really know these what these encounters what these encounters actually entail. So encounter 6, the horse. You hear the neighing of a horse, and suddenly it stands before you, a proud stallion with saddlebags and a saddle blanket. Its owner is nowhere to be seen. The lonely horse twists its head, clearly frustrated. All right, well, I think if there's no if there's no buddy around that obviously owns it, then it's probably a good thing to go try to get. Now Zell, he has animal handling. All right, so the horse belongs to a noble killed in an ambush 2 days ago. In the saddlebags, there's a valuable find. The horse is combat trained, does not take kindly to strangers. However, a successful animal handling roll calms the animal. If it fails, I have to catch it by force. If they return horse and sigil to Levid's family based in a nearby castle, they will be rewarded with the ownership of the horse as well as a precious find. Let's see. They're still pretty close to. They're still, they're very close to their village, so they probably will recognize if they can catch the horse, they will probably recognize the um, the sigil. But first, let's see if they're actually able to do it. I can catch him. I am a horseman. Why don't you have a horse already? That is a brave tale for another day. Let me see if I can catch this one. So, all right. So he's just going to take the gentle approach. They don't have any, they don't have any lassos or anything anyway. So he's going to try to calm the animal. Maybe try to offer him some dried fruit or an apple or something from his pack. All right. All right, excellent. So Zell, it takes him a while because he approaches the horse patiently. He approaches kindly using techniques of the Asline people, the horsemen of the West. The war horse is skittish at first and almost kicks his head off, but Zell, knowing his animals, knowing his horses especially, calms down or backs off, allows the animal to calm down. And then after about 20 minutes, he's got the horse. He's not ready to try to ride him or anything, but he's got the horse to where he will at least lead them so that he's calm. They go and they search the saddlebags. And according to that encounter, so they find a valuable as well as the row-shaped signet of the Lavid household. And of course, the merchant, the peddler, knows that sigil. He considers trying to keep the horse because it certainly would help. It certainly would help on their travels, especially since he has a servant who knows horses very well, knows how to ride them. But it's a local noble family, and if he gets caught with this obviously stolen horse, then he's not only going to get himself in trouble, maybe detained and arrested. He's going to get Coldbreach in trouble because they will seek some kind of remuneration, maybe some kind of vengeance for what happened, and they may actually blame him or someone in the village for that. So practicality winning out over any kind of loyalty to this noble family. He leads the horse. He has Zell lead the horse to the nearby castle. Let's see. Let's figure out what this valuable find is. If it is super valuable. Now, of course, he doesn't know that they don't know anything about the precious find or whatever. And he would be hard pressed, even if he finds something very valuable. He's probably not going to try to steal it for these same reasons. But let's see what it is. Let's see what he finds. All right, so he finds a carried valuable find. Let's see what we roll here. All right, let's try that again. Wow, that took a long time. I don't know if that's me or the server, but either way, we'll go with the first one. A 2-3 on our table. I clicked like the elevator. I hit the button. I hit the button a bunch, and now I'm getting all my stuff back. All right, at 2-3, so 3d6 silver coins. So nothing worth stretching your neck for. All right, 14 silver coins. So they know where the castle is. It's somewhere in the hex. It's somewhere nearby. He leads them up. Zell leads the horse, and Lennox leads Zell up to the castle. Let's see. Do they know that the Lord has died already? Maybe they know and the horses run off. Did it mention it? Let's see. Lavid's family. Da, 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 da. All right, so it didn't say, but he has been missing. He was killed in an ambush 2 days ago. So I'm going to say it's a pretty good chance that they know already. They may have already found his body, but the horses run off. So I'm going to say on a die 6, it, and this is where I'm going to, with the quick questions, with the simple questions, um, um, it's just easier to roll the die than to fool with the cards. So on the simple ones, even though the system uses cards, I'm just going to use dice. And on a 1 through 4, they already know that he's passed, and they've already, maybe they're in the middle of the vigil. Okay, so they already know. So they trot up to this castle, to the Levid estates, and as they approach, one of the guards shouts and summons some other guards to the gate, and they rush out. That's the Lord's horse. I know, look, I know, we're returning it. We did not see anybody, just the horse wandering nearby. We're from Cold Breach. We have a long history with your family. So we figured we would just return this escaped horse. Because they don't know that he's dead either. There was it doesn't describe any kind of blood or anything on in the description of what they see in the horse, just that the horse is wandering around and is agitated. So you don't know about the Lord then? No, I don't. He was killed in an ambush 2 days ago, and we couldn't find his horse anywhere. We figured that the bandits stole it. But I see you ran off, didn't you, Chauncey? You didn't let those bastards catch you. Yeah, that's a good horse, just like his lord was. All right, we're holding vigil. Come on, I think the lady would want to speak with you. So one of the guards takes the horse by the reins, and Lennox hands him the rose signet ring. They lead him to a small chapel, and in the small chapel, the Lord is laid out in, what's it called? State? Laid out in state? He's laid out, his sword broken, but in his hands over his chest. Some of his wounds still blue and ugly on his face. And a middle-aged woman, one who's been worn by the long life of running a manor in these wastes, turns. She speaks to the guard, eyes them up and down, takes their measure and nods. Thank you for returning, Chauncey. It's a blow to our family. My condolences, my lady. Yes, may his spirit rest as a warrior spirit should. Thank you. They say you are from Coldbreach. Yes, you're the peddler, Master Lennox, correct? Yes, I am, lady. Thank you very much. It's good to know that our neighbors are willing to be honest, to show kindness to my family in these times of need. Keep, Chauncey. That's a princely gift, lady. I don't know, no. There's no one else here. If you have tamed Chauncey already, I don't know that he would accept anyone else. He was my lord's horse. Thank you for your honesty and your bravery. Please dine with us tonight as we continue our vigil. Now, Lennox, he really kind of wants to get going. He's only made it, he's only made it one hex away from Coldbreach, but he just got a horse, and that's, he doesn't look gift horses up the wazoo. So he's gonna put on his charm and hoping that it's not some kind of trap, that they're that they really secretly blame him for the Lord's murder and are going to ambush him or something like that. But there's a small gathering of people from the local farmers around the castle, and let's see, how well liked was our Lord here. I'm just gonna go higher the better. Oh, not you. Okay, 3. So not well liked, at least not by the villagers, not by the not by the locals. But he is a lord, and people are happy because now he's dead, because he was apparently an ass. And as Lennox mingles with the different visitors, as they eat, and towards the evening they actually have some dancing, and he speaks to the people. And it's not that he was cruel, he just didn't care about his people. He didn't really even care about his wife, from what the his chamberlain, his seneschal, says. And by the time the festivities have wound down and the local Rust Brother priest has come and performed the last rites, And the Lord is buried in the small, run-down, walled-off family graveyard of the noble Lavid family. Nighttime has come, and they are invited to sleep in the hall, and they can start their journeys the next day. In the middle of the final meal, the lady stands and she gives a speech extolling Lennox's virtues, about his honesty and his bravery to bring back such a valuable horse that he could have taken in for himself or sold somewhere else. And then she looks and she says, I think my lord would have wanted you to have this. And from the encounter, okay, so they get the horse. I'm just going to say they'll get the 14 silver as well, and a precious find. So that's cool. Let's see what our precious find is. It does not specify whether it's a carried or a precious find in a layer. I'm going to use the carried precious finds though, because she knows that they're traveling, and some of these things she's not going to give them a like a golden table or a golden palanquin to go carry around. Um, so let us see what our D66 roll is. Ooh, a 6 and a 5. That's nice and high. That should be something good. Where are you at? A golden crown. Oh, worth 4 die 6 gold. All right. 14 gold. That's pretty good. All right, let me take a moment. Mark that on the inventory. As he looks at the gold crown, he's like, "Again, lady, this is," and she says, almost hiding the disdain in her voice, "It was my lord's. I think it would be better suited elsewhere now that he is no longer with us." And she hands it to a servant, and the servant walks over and bows, setting the crown on the table in front of Lennox. He examines it, and it is definitely a beautiful crown that will earn him some money, because he he's not going to wear a crown around. That's just asking for it. So he immediately tucks it out of sight so no one tries to steal it. Although it does make him a little nervous because they just gave him a bunch of treasure, and now he's starting to wonder if they're just trying to dupe him into letting his guard down or something. So he does not enjoy any of the drinking, or at least he does not get drunk. He drinks just enough to be polite because he wants to be on his guard as he's getting ready to run, as he's looking for the first sign of betrayal. But the evening and the dancing goes, and he finds himself that he actually even has a little fun dancing with some of the ladies, enjoying the music. And he wakes up in the morning whole with his belongings, his hands immediately shooting to his pack that he was sleeping on, just to make sure the crown's still in there. And it is. The lady does not see them off, but they are given a hearty breakfast. And one of the stable boys brings him Chauncey, which they may change that because I just came up with with that name off the cuff. Maybe they'll want a better name later on. And they take their heavier things like the tent and the blanket and the bear trap and put it on the horse to get their encumbrance down a little, and they walk on and they lead their horse off into the Ravensland morning to see what is in the next hex today. So we'll call it there, and a very interesting first day. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming along. Happy gaming.